the janitor who closed a $20 billion deal. I was wiping floors while the world laughed at me. No one knew that the woman carrying a mop once carried dreams of boardrooms and business deals. That night, fate handed me a chance, and I turned my pain into power. I never thought my name would be remembered in the same sentence as $20 billion. For years, people only called me the janitor. They laughed at my uniform, mocked my mop, and looked past me like I was invisible. What they didn't know was that behind that uniform, I carried a degree in international business and a mind sharper than most of the men in suits. Life had crushed me with crisis. My mother's hospital bills, my brother's tuition, the debts. We lost everything. I was forced to take the only job available, cleaning offices at night. That's how I ended up in the skyscraper of Sheikh Karim Al Hassan, one of the most powerful Arab billionaires in the world. He never noticed me until one night. Fate turned my mop into a weapon of destiny. Karim was pacing in his office, shouting into phones. The deal on the table was massive, $20 billion with international investors. But the room was tense. His advisors whispered about mistakes, mistranslations, cultural gaps that could ruin everything. I was wiping the glass wall outside when I heard numbers, contracts, and clauses being thrown around. My heart raced. I knew exactly what they were doing wrong. It was a technical misinterpretation in the contract, something I had studied years ago in my MBA courses before life threw me into poverty. I stood frozen. Should I speak? I was just a janitor. But then, I thought of all the nights my brother cried from hunger, my mother's medicine bottles running empty, and the shame I carried every day. I stepped inside. "Excuse me, sir," I said softly. Everyone turned. The room fell silent. His advisors frowned, ready to throw me out. Karim's sharp eyes pierced through me. I swallowed my fear. The clause in Section 14, it doesn't mean what you think. It gives the investors the right to withdraw without liability. You're about to sign away everything. The men laughed. A janitor correcting billionaires? But Karim raised his hand. He looked at me, curious. "Explain." I took a deep breath and walked closer to the table. My hands trembled, but my voice stayed strong. I pulled out a marker and went to the whiteboard. I underlined the words in the clause, broke down the sentence structure, and compared it to real-life cases I remembered from my studies. I showed them how one wrong signature could sink the company, and how one small change could save billions. The room that once mocked me now leaned forward, listening carefully. My voice didn't shake. For 10 minutes, I broke down the clause, line by line, pointing out the risks and the safer alternative. I even suggested a renegotiation strategy. When I finished, the room was silent again, but this time, not from mockery. From shock. The billionaire leaned back in his chair, studying me as though he was seeing me for the first time. Then he called his lawyers. They checked, and to everyone's disbelief, I was right. Completely right. That night, Karim tore up the draft contract and rebuilt the deal using my corrections. Within hours, the investors agreed. He didn't just save the deal, he secured it. A $20 billion agreement signed under my words. When the investors left, Karim walked up to me. His voice was low but full of weight. "Who are you?" I smiled sadly. "Just the janitor." But he shook his head. "Not anymore." The next morning, my life changed. He summoned me to his office, not with a mop, but with a chair at the conference table. He announced me as his new strategic advisor. The same people who once mocked me now took notes when I spoke. The woman in a janitor's uniform became the woman who rewrote billion-dollar deals. That night, when I looked at myself in the mirror, tears filled my eyes. I wasn't crying because I had escaped poverty. I was crying because someone finally saw me. Someone believed in me when the world only mocked. Kareem later told me, "You saved me from the biggest mistake of my career. But more than that, you reminded me that brilliance can wear any uniform." And from that day, I promised myself I would never let life or crisis define my worth again.